high school sports talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
It's a glorious Saturday morning, and hopefully it'll be no rain and plenty of sunshine as we have a beautiful day ahead. Hopefully all that bad weather that's messed up the football schedule the last couple of nights, it's gone for good. We're hoping. 79 degrees, and we're glad you're tuned in here on the first day of September for 2018 to High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. I'm Matt Hatfield. You, sir, are?
I'm the coach, Ed Young.
Of Nansemond River, where we were at last night in Suffolk for a great game.
Before we get into that, being this Labor Day weekend, I feel public service announcement is needed.
Uh-oh. He's compelled to go on a rant, Thomas. Get ready.
I'm going to be calm. People, I know it's Labor Day weekend. Everybody's heading to the beach.
It's not the traffic report.
Yeah. White line, solid white line means you can't cross. Solid white line means you can't cross. Speed limit is not, for some people, optional for you. Try to go to speed limit. Yeah, you can go a couple miles over, but let's be careful. And there's a thing to the left of your steering column. It's a little stem type thing, goes up, down. It's called turn signals. By law, you got to use them. So how about using them?
Oh, we know somebody's listening. Your dog's barking. I guess
the dog wants to eat. I just left him food. But anyways, please be careful on the roadways out there. There's a lot of people, and 5-0 is out in earnest, so be careful.
5-0? 50 cent?
Kid slang for
my bad. Whoopsie. He said 50 was
Thomas knows what I'm talking. Thomas, you get me right.
Thomas stepped out briefly. He'll be right back. But we've got a jam-packed show for you. We've got some scores. We've got some interviews, a couple of playbacks. We have one live interview with us this morning as high school football is underway. Almost every team in the area, we say almost, has a game in the books. One in the win column, one in the loss column. There's some suspended games that we'll get to here in a moment. There are a couple teams waiting to open up the season still, one of which is later today at Darling Stadium at 2 o'clock with Phoebus taking on the Heritage Hurricanes. Another is Great Bridge, the Wildcats out of Chesapeake at 1 o'clock playing host to Booker T. Washington. So a lot of action going on. And as we get ready to fire up the scoreboard here in a second and tell you what we got coming on the program, Ed, we were at a game last night at Nansemond River. I think it started at 8:42, and I think it ended at about 11:02 p.m. as we were all in holding patterns and waiting for some football. And we fortunately were able to get most of the games in last night.
Yeah, the weather played nasty all over the place. In Suffolk, the rains came pretty hard around 5:30, 5:45 roughly. Problem with our game was the lightning. A lot of lightning in our surrounding areas. So obviously we had to empty the stadium. People went to their cars. People went inside the gymnasium. Everybody remained calm. Decent crowd for a non-district game for us against a very good Maury team. So, but everything was okay. Got to get everybody back into the stadium, and that was a little bit of a chore, but we did.
Well, let's fire up the scoreboard. And as we do that, by the way, since you had the gymnasium open, did you find any new prospects for the basketball team? I figured you probably were out there a little scouting, recruiting visit there.
No, but I found 3 future managers.
Okay, that's not
some
bad.
Little young ladies, probably about 6 years old. They helped me put up the rails in the bleachers, and they just had a lot of energy, and they wanted me to get a ball out so they can dribble around, and so I found me some managers.
Well, you need to hope that they have some brothers or some cousins that you can add to your Warrior squad at some point, right?
Well, we're not allowed to recruit, so I try not to do that.
You would never do that.
Some of my brethren are better at it than me, so I'd step in the background.
All right, let's tell you what happened beginning with Thursday night, because originally the schedule had 26 games, 16 for Thursday, 9 for Friday, and 1 for Saturday. However, Mother Nature is more unpredictable than these games, and she said, not happening. So we only had really a total of 5 games that went final from Thursday night. Let's give them to you. Southeastern District, it was Deep Creek edging Grassfield 20-15. Remember, last year's game was, I think, 27-7. Sort of the resurgent Hornets, the debut of Andre Twine then, and a surprise when they beat Grassfield, who had owned them for many years. And this recent game was much closer than some expected. Grassfield hanging in there with Deep Creek, and the Hornets had a big goal line stand late to win that one 20-15 over the Grizzlies. Also in the Southeastern District, Hickory went would you call it south of the border, Ed? They went to their border state in Currituck, North Carolina. 12-6 Currituck beats Hickory. They had lost the last 3 years by a pretty wide margin, in fact. If you look at Hickory and Currituck had actually been outscored 62-14 by Hickory. Well, this time they win at 12-6, as in the red zone, Currituck's defense stops Hickory on 4th down, and they spoil the debut of Donnell Brown as the head coach at his alma mater. Currituck 12, Hickory 6. Moving over to the Beach District. Amazingly, every game was either suspended or postponed except one, which didn't have a single delay, and that was Lansdowne beating Bayside 21-7 in the coin flip of the night. Dare we say coin flip of the week, as I think Ed flipped his coin. It was heads for Lansdowne. Mine said tails for Bayside. Ed wins, I lose. And Lansdowne wins at 21-7, recovering from a quick burst by Cameron LeBourne, a 67-yard touchdown early in that game. Lansdowne scores 21 unanswered, doing it behind the running game as they run for nearly 200 yards, with Lukeman Haskett leading the way for Tommy Reamond's Eagles, now 2-0 on the year. Ocean Lakes shutting out First Colonial 28-0. That game was suspended by Lightning at halftime and later declared a final. As Coach Joe Jones of the Dolphins told us, another good game for Tank Land, the 4-star defensive back committed to the University of Maryland. Takes on Texas later today. And the Dolphins moved to 2-0. End of the month of September, a showdown with Lansdowne, which was the big battle for first in the Beach last year. It could very well be the case again here in 2018. And one score outside the Beach in the Southeastern. We'll give the small school some love. Nandua, a 50-7 victor over the Windsor Dukes.
Well, let's go to the Beach, look at those Beach scores. I'm not overly surprised that Lansdowne Bayside could have went either way. I obviously, like I said, I went with Lansdowne, you went with Bayside. Tough 0-2 start for Bayside. Salem over PA, kind of expected.
We haven't gotten a Salem over PA. We'll get to those from last night. The games that finished
that's
up.
Right,
We're looking at
right.
Thursday.
We got to come up. I'm jumping the gun.
Marlins, first time 0-2 since 1997 for Bayside. Is it time to press the panic button or not yet?
No.
Why?
Because I know they got Ocean Lakes down the road and whatever. I still say that team is good enough, I believe. I know they got a lot of youngsters here and there. They can rip off 8-9 wins.
Yeah, and their schedule says so. They've got Green Run, then a bye week, Kempsville, Princess Anne, First Colonial before they play Ocean Lake. So they could very well turn an 0-2 start into a 4-game winning streak, provided they stay healthy and they get everything straightened out. All right, so those are your Thursday results. The big one on Friday, the game of the week, Nansemond River, the Warriors, the reigning Class 5 Region A champs, playing host to the Maury Commodores. 49-15 winner over Bethel last week. Well, coming out of the gate, it was Nansemond River. Rashad Williams taking the opening kickoff 85 yards down to the 5. Jaquel Harrell punches in for a 5-yard touchdown. The Warriors are off and rolling, and they were rolling until halftime, where Ian Oakley intercepted a pass to end the first half, and the Warriors led it 15-0. Second half, a whole different story as Maury got the passing game going behind Alvante Lawton. 16 completions for 136 yards and 2 touchdowns on the night. He overcomes that interception before the break, and he did so finding his big play weapon, KeAndre Lambert, the junior. We had him in studio back in the spring, along with Sheridan Jones, the Clemson commit, and KeAndre comes up with 2 touchdown receptions, including a pivotal one on 4th down in the 4th quarter. Very clutch there. And cannot forget about Darian Varner on defense. 10 tackles, 5 for loss. Nansemond River, 15-point lead, evaporates. Maury with a stunning comeback, 16-15 over the Warriors as Dyrri McCain's Commodores move to 2-0.
Tough loss for my Warriors. Started out great. I picked it as a close game. I think I had Nansemond 28-26. Wet field, I would have dropped the score down if I had known that. Both teams have big playmakers, speed guys. Everything looked good for Nansemond River until a late penalty. Personal foul penalty gave up 15 yards the other way for Maury. They punched it in. Then on the ensuing kickoff, they go onside kick, recover.
Did it twice, sort of an onside squib, and they tried it a third time. And I even mentioned to Dyrri McCain afterwards. I'm like, boy, thought that might blow up in your face, because now you're giving a team in the Warriors with decent field position at their own 40.
Yes, they did.
Now they don't have the same clutch kicker they did a year ago with Evan Lomax. All-state performer, hit that game winner against Salem to win the region title last year. He's now at Hampton University. So, and they did miss a kick last night. It was a field goal. They did miss a field goal last night. So you're still thinking even down one, and we don't want to chance it from 45, 50 yards, something like that. You got to get really close if it's on fourth down to try that field goal. And ends up being a victory for Maury, coming back 2-0, 2-0 record now. And Ed, you almost nailed it on the head. You said overtime in your pick, 28-26, and we were looking that way until Luca Weber's extra point. And give Maury some kudos on their kicking game. Luca Weber hit a field goal, also made that extra point to prevent us from going to overtime and finishing up around midnight.
Yeah, obviously, yes, it was a late game, and a couple of people asked me on the way out, they said, Coach, you think maybe the delay affected Nansemond River? No. They're up 15-0. How did it affect them? That had nothing to do with it.
When we asked Dyrri McCain that, you'll hear his thoughts on how he got his team, back in the swing of things with the delay. We have an interview with him, as well as KeAndre Lambert of the Commodores, their junior standout, who caught the eventual game-tying touchdown, which led to Weber's game-winning extra point in that game. We'll hear from Lambert the next segment, and we'll hear from Dyrri McCain top of the hour. What do you get to say about their big win last night coming from behind? We'll also hear live from Andy Linn of the Lafayette Rams. And I know we're jumping around a little bit, but that was another game that was sort of, if you had game of the week, right there as the other main features, games to watch included Lafayette and Norcom, Ed, and Lafayette beating the Norcom Greyhounds. Interesting result here. We both picked Norcom. We both were wrong in resounding fashion.
Big time.
49-12, Lafayette, a winner in a game that resumed last night, played into the third quarter on Thursday. I was there at Joe G. Langston Stadium in Portsmouth, and Lafayette was just dominant up front. 6 sacks. Christian Wilkerson with 3.5 of those sacks. They were 3 for 3 on fourth downs in the first half and ran the ball extremely well. Even the interesting thing was 3 completions for over 100 yards, which Lafayette's not known for in their wing T, as quarterback Zach New was making some plays with his feet and his arm. And they also had a trick play pass, an end-around pass Mike Rogers caught for a big touchdown. So the Rams, impressive statement, 49-12 out of the gates. Everybody's talking about Maury this morning, and rightfully so. They're 2-0, great comeback, showed some resolve and resiliency. But Lafayette beating Norcom, and now Norcom, like Bayside, 0-2. Is it time to get worried here?
No. Again, I think that team will recover. They're in a tough district because, they got to play Maury. Lake Taylor down the road. Churchland is hot right now. So I'm just surprised. I'm not overly surprised by Lafayette winning, though. I picked Norcom. But if you'd have told me they were going to put almost 50 points on the board against Norcom, no.
Well, that's the thing. Their defense was so great last year. That's why I say it's a little bit time to worry. Their offense still has not found their footing. Last year, that was the big concern. They've got playmakers, 12 points through 2 games against Hopewell Lafayette. Here's the other interesting thing. They got Booker T. Washington coming up, and then it's 4 straight road games at Granby, at Churchland, at Norview. Then they come back home October 12th against Lake Taylor. So the Eastern District does seem improved, and I do think it's time to, I wouldn't say hit the panic button, but be very, very concerned as they've got to get things together, and especially up front of the offensive line, having some trouble blocking some of these aggressive fronts. And when you see a Lake Taylor, they're going to bring the kitchen sink at you. So Lafayette moves to 1-0. They've got Smithfield next, and I'll be honest with you, Bay Rivers District's had a nice little start. I don't see anybody touching Lafayette in the Bay Rivers except maybe, and I said earlier I thought they would. Now I'm starting to doubt it. But Pocosin, who they play October 27th, that's way down the road, second to last game of the season. All right, so those were 2 of the big ones. Now let's go to some other games. Let's go back to districts. What district do you want to go to, Ed? Beach, Eastern, Southeastern, Bay Rivers, Peninsula?
Bay Rivers.
Bay Rivers District. Tough for Keith's Smithfield Packers. The opening game for Mike Newhall, coach of Smithfield, not a successful one as they played Dinwiddie with that great dual-threat quarterback in Kyman Petey Pope, younger brother of Kevon Pope, the linebacker at Ohio State University, the Ohio State University. And Dinwiddie put 70 on Denby last week. They put 57 on Smithfield as the Generals defeat the Packers 57-24. New Kent. Thomas New Kent always gets Ed Young. He picks them, they lose. He picks against them, they win. He picked against them, and they won. 33-0.
Every time.
Over Colonial Heights. It never fails. New Kent fans, keep telling Ed Young to pick against us because it turns out to be a good strategy. New Kent shuts out Colonial Heights 33-0. It's amazing. You hit 78% of your games last year. You'd probably be at 92% if you just stopped picking New Kent games.
Yeah, I'm starting to think about picking.
Why don't you just pick them to have a tie? You can pick a tie. That way you don't lose, you don't win.
I can't handle ties in sporting events. I just can't.
You can't handle ties at sporting events?
I hate it. It's absolutely a joke. Practice and work hard for a whole week, whole game, and then teams tie and they accept the tie. Like in what they do it in hockey, sometimes in football. No, there has to be a winner and a loser.
This from a guy who has more colorful ties than anybody in America.
What kind of overtime would you want then?
For sudden death. I'll take sudden death. If people don't want to stay out there long, I'll take sudden death. First team scores, but people don't like that because wonder if I get the ball first and score. Well, stop me. So that's the way it goes.
We're gonna stop.
I hate ties.
We're going to stop you right now. I hate ties. We got to cut that. He hates ties. So don't wear them now when you're coaching.
No, not those ties. I got like 47 of those things.
I know. All different kind of colors, sizes, shapes. It's amazing. All right, we got off on a tangent there. Let's get back on track. New Kent shut out Colonial Heights. We told you Dinwiddie beat Smithfield. Hopewell blanking Tab 41-0. So Hopewell 2 games in the books. The reigning Class 3 state champions. Didn't give up a point to Norcom or Tab, so we know their defense is very, very good, obviously. And that will take care of the Bay Rivers. Oh, wait, there's more. Bruton falls to King William 62-0. Bruton with the shortened season, 5 games, and I'm not sure it's going to get much better for Bruton. Unfortunately, they got York and New Kent the next couple of games. They're also going to play the likes of Poquoson and Tab in October. So once they play New Kent September 14th, they won't play again until October 19th, a long break for them. Tough situation over there with low numbers and not many kids coming out to play football. And that's your Bay Rivers District scores from yesterday.
I didn't hear Blue Smoke. They didn't play?
Oh, they did. We missed 2 more. I've got them all jumbled up here. York beat Gloucester 39-16. Your man Doug Pereira and the Falcons get the W. And it was Grafton falling to Churchland 22-0 in an out-of-district matchup. Oh, by the way, Churchland back-to-back shutouts for the first time since 1989 when they blanked Craddock and Norcom.
Churchland, hot. And I'm going to go back. You say Hopewell's 2 games and nobody scored on them.
No, same thing for Churchland.
Okay.
And Churchland's got next Norview, Armstrong, Norcom, Booker T. Now let's look at this for a second. Norview scored 46 points their 2 games in both losses to Northeastern and Indian River. However, I think they have to feel good about that against a young Norview team. Churchland could very well be 4-0 when they play host to their Portsmouth rival, Norcom.
It's not out of the question. They got
I think
a lot
it's
of
very
momentum.
possible.
Kids are feeling good about themselves. They must be executing or a whole lot of luck on their side. Whatever. Which either one. I'll take either one. So they're winning and keep doing it.
So signs of improvement for year 2 under Coach Dontrell Leonard, and also nice job by his DC over there, defensive coordinator Andre Nixon, dialing up the scheme on defense. So there you have it for the Bay Rivers District. Where else we going to? We gave an Eastern District score there with Churchland. You want to stick there? With
that's because we were talking about them.
Lake Taylor, Hank Sawyer's Titans all over Western Branch 50-15. I believe they were down 14-12 in this game, and then you know what happens? Don't make the Sawyers mad. Either Coach Hank Sawyer or his wife Sandra, because when they get on a rush and their team does, look out. 36, I think it was, unanswered, 38 unanswered as the Titans behind Malik Newton and that strong ground attack overwhelmed Western Branch in the second half. Bruins put up a good fight early, but not enough against Lake Taylor and that potent attack. We told you about Maury edging Nansemond River and come from behind fashion 16-15. Norcom falling to Lafayette 49-12. How about the Wilson Presidents? They gave Kings Fork a scare in their opener, and then they double up Lakeland last night, another Suffolk team. 14-7 for Dominic Grooms and the Presidents, his first win as head coach. They host Deep Creek next, and with Deep Creek having a little bit of a tight one with Grassfield, you wonder about Wilson. Could they put Deep Creek on upset alert?
Well, okay, let's back up here. Lake Taylor, I see them beat Western Branch. Didn't think they'd put 50 on the board. Well, we already talked about Maury. Enough about Maury, and they're going to be 2-0. We talked about
We'll talk more about them.
And of course, with Norcom, it's a surprise.
Was Norcom?
Yes, in terms of their game with Lafayette. Scores surprised me. But that 0-2, I'm not worried about.
Booker T. Washington plays at Great Bridge today at 1 o'clock. You have, that's the only game today involving an Eastern District team. And we'll tell you about Lake Taylor's opponent next week. It's a Saturday game at home against Freedom of Woodbridge, and there's an interesting element to that game that we'll tell you about a little bit later on in the program. So we got the Eastern out of the way, the Bay Rivers. Where are we going to next? We got the remaining districts of the Peninsula, Southeastern, and the Beach. The Beach. We mentioned to you the Thursday results, which included Lansdowne over Bayside 21-7. What else happened in the Beach? And Ocean Lakes shutting out First Colonial 28-0 to move to 2-0. Cox was idle, but here was the game of the week in the beach in terms of excitement. Green Run, Tallwood, they both go to overtime. It was back and forth, seesaw affair. It was suspended 7-all through literally 3 quarters of play, and then they picked it up yesterday. Tallwood edging Green Run 22-21. Sabian Stone, the quarterback, with that 2-point conversion, and the Lions roaring to 2-0 before they take on Ocean Lakes. And we said it last year, we said it even more the year before. Everybody talks about the powers in the beach, the Ocean Lakes, the Lancetowns, the Cox, the Salem. Tallwood gets forgotten about, and they're quite all right with it. They do it with defense the first week, and then their offense coming through down the stretch with some big plays to lift them to 2-0.
Yeah, why we keep missing on Tallwood, I have no idea. And of course, they probably like that because everybody else is missing on them. That was a great game with Green Run. And I think, again, that's another team that's going to build up momentum as they come up against a power like Ocean Lakes or Lansdowne.
Well, I think I misspoke there. I believe Sabian Stone had the touchdown to pull him within one, and Gunnar White had the 2-point conversion. So either way, though, the Lions, with that combination of Stone at quarterback, White at running back in the backfield, they have to feel good about their running game, which nearly had 200 yards from White in their opener against Princess Anne, and they were able to hang in there against a Green Run team that got its offense going behind quarterback Noah Spencer. An exciting battle there as Tallwood moves to 2-0. Green Run dropping to 0-2 before they take on fellow winless Bayside. Also in the Beach District, it was Kellam shutting out Kempsville 17-0. And Salem, a winner over Princess Anne, a lower scoring game than we anticipated, 19-6 for Salem over Princess Anne. So I don't know what to read into that, if anything, with Salem moving to 2-0. They have First Colonial next, and then they travel to Ocean Lakes. I think the only thing I think there is they can't get caught looking ahead to Ocean Lakes against First Colonial, because if you're flat, you could be in trouble for late third, early fourth quarter.
I don't think that's going to be an issue. A low-scoring game with PA, the field was wet, was there some turnovers, opening night jitters. Not a big deal in terms of that. Maybe good defenses on both sides of it. I don't think we'll catch Salem looking ahead.
So through 2 weeks of play, the Beach District is left with 4 unbeatens: Lancetown, Ocean Lake, Salem, and Tallwood. Check that, 5. Cox was idle, so 5 unbeatens when you throw at them at 1-0, and they'll get back in action next week against Granby. So that leaves us, Ed, with the Southeastern and the Peninsula.
Well, we talked a little bit about Southeastern. Let's finish them up.
All right, and we mentioned Deep Creek's win over Grassfield 20-15, and Currituck beating Hickory 12-6. Kings Fork was off. Great Bridge will play today. Indian River, the Braves, 53-26 over Norview, and that offense was humming behind Lamarion James. A great debut for him coming over from Norfolk Christian. He found the end zone. He was making plays all night long, and so was that offense as they defeat Norview 53-26. We speak so much about that defensive line, Ed, but the offense for Indian River, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with here, with Dominic Brooks coming over at quarterback, Lamarion James at running back, and just a host of weapons at wide receiver and running back for Glenwood Fairby's Braves.
Yeah, that team, they really get clicking. That's only the second game of the year for them.
No, that's their opener.
That was their opener.
538 yards of offense for Indian River. Ricardo Ray with 113 on the ground. Brooks threw for 245 and 3 touchdowns, and James had 2 of those touchdown receptions, 98 yards on 3 receptions. So you put up over 500 yards offense, 53 points. It's almost like, you know what? Oscar Smith put up 41 on West Forsyth out of North Carolina, 400-plus yards. Let's try to top that this week, as those 2 Chesapeake rivals will try to match the other one or top the other one with the performance before they meet up in a highly anticipated game in October. And remember, Indian River has not beaten Oscar Smith in 20 years, so trying to do something this year that they have not been able to do, and very few teams are able to do, and that's beat Oscar Smith, as they have before that matchup. They still have a lot of work in the Southeastern District. Lakeland, Great Bridge next couple weeks won't be as daunting as Nansemond River and Deep Creek, and then they have Kings Fork before they go to Oscar Smith. That's a game that is certainly one they have to be careful of.
Yeah, again, they put up 50 points, opening game. They've got some new pieces. I figured it might take a couple of weeks for everybody to gel, but they showed last night against a young Norview team that kind of put up more points than I thought they would against an Indian River. So, maybe some things could look good for over there for Norview to be able to score on some people. But you're right, Indian River is more than likely going to just keep outscoring people.
That's very true, as Marquise Dietz threw for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. So maybe that would be a little bit of area, the defense for Indian River gave up more yards and points than they were hoping in game one. All right, so we move along here. That's going to cover the Southeastern District. We mentioned about Western Branch falling to Lake Taylor 50-15. To finish up the shop here in the Peninsula District, suspended game. We don't know when it will resume, but at halftime, Hampton led Denby 14-0 in the head coaching debut of Danny Mitchell, filling in on an interim basis for Mike Smith until he returns October the 4th against Menchville. So Hampton 14, Denby nothing at the break. They'll pick that up at some time. We don't know yet when. Kecoughtan Bethel, another coin flip toss-up game. It was Kecoughtan edging Bethel 14-8 in a low-scoring affair. York beat Gloucester 39-16. Dukes fall to 0-2 as they lost to Woodside the week before. In Newport news at John V. Todd Stadium, Warwick a winner 20-12 over Menchville. Don't look now, Warwick is 2-0. And that's what you have in the Peninsula District, the only 2-0 team. Coach Corey Harrison said we're going to get to 10-0. He's 20% of the way there. Phoebus takes on Heritage today at 2 o'clock.
Woodside.
Oh, thank you. We did forget about Woodside. They fell to Highland Springs 36-6, the reigning three-time state champions. The Springers victorious over Woodside 36-6. So Wolverines dropping to 1-1, which this is going to sound absolutely insane, but dropping to 1-1 and losing by 30, Woodside, that's not terrible given how potent Highland Springs is. They can beat people by 60+ as they did the week before. So that game was fairly close early, and then Highland Springs just too much firepower pulling away.
Highland Springs is going to go undefeated.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
So
that's no shame game against the Highland Springs team. That team is just loaded.
And keep an eye on this one. September the 13th, a Thursday night, Woodside taking on Phoebus at Todd Stadium. Before that, though, Woodside will take on Kecoughtan at Darling this coming Friday. So that will wrap up the scores from last night. When we return, we'll hear from KeAndre Lambert of the Maury Commodores. And we'll take your phone calls, too. Give us a call, 757-687-9494. If you were out at a game last night, have any thoughts on high school football around the Hampton Roads area, 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, back to your hosts, Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Saturday morning high school sports talk here on 94.1 ESPN Radio, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. And speaking of VirginiaPreps.com, my colleague Matt Hatfield caught up with the nephew of former NFL Pro Bowl safety and former Maury standout Cam Chancellor. Who are we talking about? Maury's wide receiver, KeAndre Lambert. Let's get to listen to that now here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, here with Maury class of 2020 wide receiver KeAndre Lambert. 2 touchdown catches in the second half as the Commodores come from behind to win at 16-15 at Nans. Whenever Dre, you knew this was a build for all summer, a big game of the week. You guys are down 15-0. How did you guys come back and win this thing?
Well, everybody faces adversity, so you get down in the half. You can't go and put your head down. You can't come out sluggish. You got to come out fast. You got to come out ready to come back. You got to have that mindset. You got to have mentality, and that's what we did. We talked it up after the half, and as y'all saw, our defense shut them down the whole second half. And it was up to the offense to make plays, and we did. Your defense kept you in it in the first half, but they had some runs with Dyrri and Werner making some plays behind the line of scrimmage. Did you feel like, even though you had the interception before the half, that you guys went to your quick pace, that you got something going offensively brewing there before the interception? Yeah, definitely. We saw that we could easily move the ball down the field when we passed the ball and put the tempo up. So that was our game plan coming in the second half, because we saw it work before the half ended. New quarterback for Maury this year. Of course, you dabbled for a little bit in the summertime. We thought you might be the Q at one point, but Kevin Van Mills last year, Avante Lawton this year. Speak on the chemistry you guys have developed from the summer to now and what you saw tonight. Well, I always had chemistry with Avante. We played middle school together, and we played AYL correctly together. We grew up together. So I got him over here because I knew he could be that guy for us, and I knew he could make the plays for us, and he showed it tonight. Let's talk about your 2 touchdowns. The first one, you juked about 4 or 5 guys. Yeah. That was a highlight reel one. Yeah. Tell me about that play, what you had there. Well, I was just thinking, I need to become a playmaker. I can't catch -1 yard routes and make it into 2 yards. That's nothing. I knew I had to make a play for my team. We're down 15. I knew I had to make a play, get our energy back up, and that's what I did. So it was about getting yak, make you miss, if you will. Yeah. 4th and 2, game sort of on the line there with that play. Vontae was making some tough runs between the tackles. Did you know it was coming to you there with the game on the line? Yeah, because we got that chemistry. I knew on that particular route, I know I can get open. because I sell it perfect. So when I sold it and I saw that I came wide open, I knew he was coming to me.
How critical of a win is this for Maury football? To move to 2-0, get this hostile crowd, you're down big, the resilience you showed. How big is this win? Big picture.
Well, it's a great win. It's showing us that we can compete with anybody. They were supposed to be the team that made that run last year, and we knew if we came in here and beat them on their home, the opener, then we can beat anybody basically. So we just got to keep that mentality and keep working hard basically.
Last two, one's a recruiting question, one's a football question. You've gotten a boatload of offers since we last talked. Give me your Labor Day plans and any schools you're going to check out here in the next couple of months.
See, I probably can't. I don't even know. My coach McCain, he hit me up probably 2 days before the game, and he take me. So
you know who you want to go see though in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I want to go to probably a Tech game, Clemson game, Michigan game. A couple games I'm trying to go to.
Oh, the top 25 schools pretty much. And lastly, what do you guys have to do to keep this going to where you're a threat not only in the Eastern District, but we're talking about Maury as a contender in the state?
Well, we can't get big-headed. We got to keep coming to practice, working hard like we've been doing. We can't get full of ourselves. That's the main thing. We got to stay humble and continue to work hard, continue to grind. We've been grinding, and that's why we pulled this out. Conditioned, we warm out, everything. We've been grinding.
That's Maury Jr. KeAndre Lambert. He's making plays, getting touchdowns, and now victories. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
So that was KeAndre Lambert, as you heard, class of 2020 wide receiver. Cam Chancellor's nephew making a name for himself this year, Ed. We had him in studio in the spring here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Just an impressive performance last night. Big-time players make big plays in big games. He did it.
Yeah, and again, he's only a youngster, well-spoken, handled himself well, and he knows the way around on that football field. He's going to have a whole lot of options coming up real soon for him. But Maury's got some big play receivers, and I tell you what, I like that quarterback. What's the kid's name again?
Alvante Lawton.
I like how he stands in there, and he's a big guy.
He is big. He's strong. He can run. We spoke about that with Dyrri McCain, which we'll hear a little bit later on. But let's squeeze in a couple of phone calls in here before we get to Andy Linn of Lafayette. And by the way, no rush to make a decision is KeAndre Lambert. Virginia Tech would obviously seem like the favorite because of the lineage, the family history, but Clemson, Michigan, so many others making a hard push at him, and understandably so. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. We'll try to go quickly through some of these. Hank in Chesapeake, you're on ESPN Radio. What's going on, Hank?
What's going on, gentlemen? I went to the Deep Creek Grassfield game, and boy, talk about just not, I know it's the first game, but boy, it was awful. I just don't think Deep Creek's going to have the type of team that they had last year. Damian Everett made a huge difference on that team. You could just tell their running game is just not the same without that kid. As far as Grassfield goes, they're small. I mean, they have like maybe they have one defensive end. I think he's number 9, who looks like a pretty decent athlete, but I think Grassfield's headed towards being more like Hickory and Great Bridge. I don't think they'll ever get back to any kind of glory like they had when they first started. It's a new school and everybody wants to go there. I think maybe that's kind of died off. I talked to you guys last year about some of these programs around here who just can't compete, and you guys kind of laughed it off a little bit. And then come to find out, 4 schools actually folded their programs, including Parkview Sterling, who used to be a pretty decent team. And then Bruton is playing like 5 games. How long do you think before maybe a Kempsville or even a Hickory fold their program around here? Because it's going to happen. Somebody's going to cut the losses and put their money elsewhere.
Thanks for the call, Hank. And I'll have to say my bet on that because I actually think he's right now. Last year I sort of laughed it off with you, and I didn't think that would happen. But now seeing what's happened with other schools, I'll say, you know what? I was proven wrong with that. And I don't think that will happen right away, though, Hank. I don't think a Kempsville or a Hickory or someone such as that will do so now because they're both Class 5 schools with decent numbers at the moment. But I do think other schools, and it could very well be them within the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, and I think it's trending in a bad direction with the number of kids departing and not being able to play football and not wanting to play football. So that would be a concern there. And you mentioned Grassfield, Deep Creek. You wondered that result with Deep Creek has me perplexed a little bit. They not only lost Damon Everett, running back, who was huge, but Antonio Turner, that big defensive end. Remember him? He was great in that Indian River game, that comeback win. He's now gone. I believe he's at Howard University playing for Mike London, and he was a force. So you lose guys such as that, and they didn't have a ton of marquee names, but you lose 2 or 3 of your best players as you try to build things back up. Now you wonder where that leadership comes from, not just the playmaking, but the leadership. And for Grassfield, Evan Odom, the big kid you mentioned, number 9, he's a threat. But the line play, that would concern me because Grassfield for many, many years has been known for having big guys. Marty Asprey over there developing those linemen in the trenches. They sent up Patrick Jones at DN to Pittsburgh, and if they're not having those bodies, that's a worry in the Southeastern where you got to have those bodies playing Oscar Smith and Indian River and Kings Fork.
Deep Creek is going to win more than they lose. Grassfield will be okay. Transformation, they've lost some pretty good athletes, probably going with some younger guys. Okay, they're not as big as they used to be. They come back to earth and be as average size like everybody else. As far as schools folding programs that are losing, especially in football, of course, football, you have to have numbers. I being a purist and being a coach that I am, I say, no, that's not going to happen. What those schools that folded their football programs, it's a mirage. It's not going to happen a lot. But knowing how today's kid is, and you're losing tons of games, and kids don't want to go to school and get joked on, made fun of, I could see kids not wanting to play. And part of it is an offshoot of kids transferring out because they don't want to be part of that. So we got to stop the crazy transferring. Kids got to, man up, is a statement I'll use, even though they're youngsters. Get out there and play. Change the program around. Stop transferring all over the doggone place. Take care of the school you're supposed to be at. People say, well, maybe it's bad coaching. I'm not putting it on the coaches. You got to work with what you have. At least most guys do. I just don't want to see programs fold.
No, I'm with you 100% on that. And maybe a question we can pose to Andy Linn of Lafayette. He's got one of the best programs, not just in the Hampton Roads area, but the entire state. He's our guest next. So a couple of you callers waiting. Please call back 757-687-9494. We'll get to you in the next hour of the program. Before we bid adieu on this Saturday, 11:30, we've got Texas Tech and Ole Miss college football coming your way. But when we return, Andy Linn, head football coach of the Lafayette Rams, will join us right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now let's get back to your hosts, Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
Back here on the program, we have a special guest. His team coming off a state semifinal appearance last year, 51 consecutive wins in the Bay Rivers District, and last night concluding their great performance in a win over Norcom 49-12 to open the season. We say good morning to one of the best in the business, Coach Andy Linn of the Lafayette Rams. Coach, how'd it feel to get a win, even though it had to be delayed into 2 days?
Well, it kind of felt like 2 wins. You take the logistics of the whole thing, and you got to get a bus, and you got to get a pregame meal and a postgame meal, and doing that back to back, and it really did feel like 2 games. But no, it felt good. It was a great start.
Hey, Andy, Ed Young here. Yeah, you got like a doubleheader.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
Baseball doubleheader. I bet kids love that. They got to eat 4 times.
That's exactly. Yeah, they did not have a problem with that part of it.
And we're not talking about going to McDonald's or whatever.
Oh, no, sir. No.
No.
I make sure they're fit.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, though, it only shows in the standings as 1-0, but you'll take that as opposed to 2-0. Let's chat about, I was at the game Thursday night, couldn't catch the conclusion of it, but you guys got off to a fantastic start. I think you scored on all 5 of your offensive possessions in that half. Over 100 yards passing on 3 completions, even a trick play you pulled out of the bag there, and your defense was all over the place, causing havoc. 6 sacks, 3.5 by Christian Wilkerson, one of the better defensive players in the area.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of built ourselves on playing very, very good defense and then running the ball a lot. So I mean, sure, it was only 3 passes, but we kind of try to lure them in a little bit on the running game and then take a throw, and it worked on that play. Every now and then you get lucky, and but I can't say like you said, Christian's he did a great job the other night. I think people are going to start to realize a little bit more who he is. He is one of the better players. But the defense played outstanding. Great way to get the game started, blocked the punt, scored a touchdown. So you get the momentum, especially when you're away, that really helps.
Now, Andy, I got to put this in there because you football guys just drive me nuts. I don't know if you know, but I'm going to tell you. I always tell you, some of you football guys, 3rd and inches, throw it. Stop powering with 18 running backs up the middle, end arounds, flea flickers, quarterback receiver. And you did it last night. I'm telling you, I'm learning you guys. I am finally learning you football guys. You're taking a page out of the basketball playbook.
That's exactly right. That's right, Ed. You got to, if I got 3rd and 1, I'm more than likely to take a chance somewhere because I'm going to go for 4th and 1. Well,
I told Stokowski over there in the beach. I forget a couple guys I've been telling, and of course you don't need me to tell you nothing with what your program has done and your power game and that defense. You don't need to tell me nothing, but I'm telling you, flea flickers, end arounds, quarterback, receiver, hike it directly to put a lineman back there and have the lineman act like he's going to run and then all of a sudden stop, throw over the middle. Works every time.
I imagine that would work.
But hey, my thing, Andy, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Matt and I dabble in prognostication because that's what they like us to do. And I think I picked Norcom slightly over you, but since we're at a distance, I know you can't slug me in the head about that. And
oh no, I'm sure you're not the only one.
Well, and my thing is this, and I'm not surprised you won. Come on now, anybody that's surprised you won, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm not surprised you won, but almost putting 50 points on a pretty good, well-known defensive team. Did you see something about Norcom that you were able to work on? Is it just one of those nights where everything just clicking for you and you're more concerned about what you're doing, or was there something you could take advantage of? Because Norcom does not give up sometimes 50 points in a month.
No. Their team last year was, it was extraordinary. Their defense was unbelievable. I don't know that they gave up 20 points more than one time the entire season last year. But no, we didn't see anything different. We just, we're a little bit better at the running back position this year than we've been, and so we were just going in with the idea that we were going to throw a whole stable of running backs at them and keep, I think we went for 4th downs in the first half and got them all, but we were planning on just keeping them off the field and keeping us on the field.
Well, and it certainly worked to your favor there. And Zach Newman plays as well as DeMario, Tyler, Vashad Phillips, and you had that nifty end-around pass there. Mike Rogers catching it, and he was a kid last year. We saw him a little bit that first game, Smithfield corner covering some receivers, but now he's developed into a big-time player for you, both sides of the ball, wide receiver, defensive back. And against Norcom's speed, it seemed like one of the things, and we chatted about this in pregame, that physicality was something you guys stressed. Be the more physical team. And did you sense that right away that you try to punch him in the mouth?
Well, you're exactly right. We're not the biggest team, but we are going to try and get off the football and I guess you say punch you in the mouth. So because we don't have the speed, we don't have the D1 guys on the outside that can fly. So we're going to line it up, get in a stance. I always tell the guys every week, it doesn't matter all this other stuff. If you can't block and tackle, you're not going to beat a whole lot of people anyhow.
Chatting with Andy Linn, head football coach of the Lafayette Rams here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1, coming off a 49-12 win over the Norcom Greyhounds before they take on Smithfield coming up on September the 7th. That's this coming Friday at Smithfield. And before we get to that game and some other thoughts along the Bay Rivers District coach, as you look back too, and hearing you guys in the offseason, you lost to Louisa, a very good team in the state semifinals. Could very well see them again if you guys are both fortunate enough to win your regions in Class 4 Region A for you guys, Class 4 Region B for them. But that Norcom loss last year, 15-10, they hit a 4th down touchdown pass with 32 seconds at your place. That really stuck in the craw of your coaching staff and your players all year long.
Yeah, it was the coaches, a little bit, but the players were, I think it was the only regular season game we'd lost in the last 5 years, I think. And it really, these guys were, I wasn't prepared for that game last week, not my guys. I didn't have my team ready to play last year, and I made sure we were ready to play this year.
Andy, now I got to know up front, who are some of the guys that we need to talk about? Again, linemen always sometimes don't get the love they deserve, but in a game like that, I'm sure you got some guys that really stood out.
Well, we've got, our offensive line is brought back 4 of the 6 starters, and I say 6 because I count my tight end as a lineman. Elijah Washington at tackle, he's a 3-year starter. Timmy Gillen at guard's a 2-year starter. Ed Coons at center is a 2-year starter. And Caleb Massey at guard is a 3-year starter. So those 4 guys, they've kind of been a nucleus. And then I actually am starting a freshman at tackle. His name's Bryce Copeland. And then I've got the next installment of the Neville brothers at tight end in Tyler, who's a pretty big, he's about 6'4", 210 tight end. So those guys up front did a great job. And then, like I said, we probably ran the ball with no less than 8 running backs the other night. So those guys just held it down. And on the defensive side, Christian Wilkerson, we got a new young man in there at nose guard. Terry Holbert does a great job. Keyshawn Long's a new guy. So we got a bunch of linemen around, and they did a great job.
And it's certainly a key to your success to having those linemen be able to rotate them in and continue to apply pressure, and also very sturdy blockers for you up front. Give me a couple more names, unsung guys. It could be one of the backs, a defensive player that you think is sort of being slept on and could be a key reason to you guys having a good playoff run this year.
Well, I think you and I talked about it the other night. I think one guy that's really slept on a ton for us is KeAndre.
Mm-hmm.
He's our inside linebacker. He actually led we were the number one ranked defense in the state last year. And he, everybody talked about Jack Irwin, and deservedly so. He's an unbelievable football player. But Trey led our team in tackles. He is our defensive leader, and he was all over again the other night. But those two inside linebackers are our heart and soul. Him and Josh Coley, they're 2- and 3-year starters, and they just kind of hold everything down for us defensively.
Hey, now, Andy, I want to something that's been jumping in my mind, kind of getting a little bit off the subject of your game, which I don't know why I'm doing this, but the situation over there at Bruton, they're down to only going to play 5 games, don't have a lot of kids. We had a caller in earlier saying that he's wondering if this is going to happen with more teams over the next few years, especially teams that are losing a lot, that kids may lose interest and schools may say, well, we don't have enough kids, we're not going to put anybody in jeopardy. Any feeling from you about all that? Have you kind of looked at that situation, maybe not just Bruton, but just in general?
Well, I know our game is, it's starting to, we're losing a lot of kids. A lot of places are losing a lot of kids. So, one thing I tried to do here in Williamsburg is, we got the USA football group up here to do the heads up tackle thing. I think, we got to get it out there that the game's not as unsafe as a lot of people think it is. And that's only really, I think, anymore a small part of it. I think you hit the nail on the head earlier, Ed, when you were talking about on the radio. You said, it's hard to keep getting a team going when, if you're losing all the time, you got to convince kids to come out for 5 or 6 weeks of their summer, but they know they're coming out and we're going to lose anyhow. So that's hard to do. So building a young program is really, really hard to stay. And it's hard to convince a young coach to go out there and say, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put this in and I'm going to stay in this for the whole year. And then next year I'll be better at this next year. Instead, you start listening to the whispers all over the place. And now you're running the wing tee one week, the spread next week, and then that's not doing your team any good. It's not a great situation for our game. I try to do everything I can to tell everybody around that it's not nearly as unsafe as it is, and there's still no sport. No offense to you in basketball, but there's still no sport like football for a kid to play. None.
Andy, I listen to you and I agree on a lot of things with what you're saying, and it is tough. Today's kid, they're going to hear from other kids, hey man, you always losing. Why you putting all that work in? I wouldn't be doing that. And then kids just want to kind of like have more social life, so they figure, why go put the time in? Because I agree, I think safety-wise, things are better now than they ever were in the past because of equipment and more knowledge, better coaching techniques and whatever. I put a lot on the kids, but then sometimes people say to me, well, Coach, what about some of the younger coaches that are coaching that don't want to really stay in it? And you were right. Guys try to change around too much because they're hurry up and trying to win, show that I can coach. Well, part of showing you can coach is be patient and build. People in the know understand that. Stop trying to please everybody else. You're the coach. Just build your program.
Well, you're absolutely right, and it's hard to get these young guys to be patient and build a program. This here at Lafayette. When Dan Antolt came in, and then Paul Wheeler and myself, I've been there with all of them. But we started from scratch with the wing tee, and we stayed with it. And we've never, I still run the same basic 5 to 6 plays that I ran back in 1997. We've never changed. We've never wavered. We've never gone into the spread situation that's going around everywhere. We've just kind of stayed with it. But I can understand from those young guys, because you hear it from people. You hear you're losing. You listen to the people in the stands, and it's hard not to listen. I mean, I've done this for a long time, so I don't hear anything. And I'm sure there's a lot that's said, but it's to get these young guys to do is really, really tough.
Well, my attitude is, I got the best seat in the house, so why am I listening to somebody sitting 9 rows behind me? And if you listen to people 9 rows behind, you end up sitting with them. So I like where I'm at.
You'll be there quick. That's
Right.
right. You'll be there quick if you do that.
Now, Andy, I also got to ask you this, and I know I'm going to put you on the spot, but you're doggone good, so I'm going to ask it anyways. And we had a listener, a big Lafayette listener, kind of wanted to know this too. Any thought through your career maybe of you, since you've been successful, that you wanted to try the next level and see what you can do at that next level?
No, I think to the point now, you get to a certain age where, I think the next level is is more of a young man's game, to work your way up through this and work your way up through that. I love I've been in this community now 30 years, between starting coaching and teaching in middle school, and then getting up here at Lafayette. And what I built here and what my family's here and everything is, I'm so entrenched in Williamsburg, and especially the Lafayette community. I don't know that I could find anything any better. I know everybody will say, well, it's a different challenge at the next level, but the challenges we have at this level and the benefits that we can get young men to get them to that next level, I think they outweigh anything I can do at the next level.
Chatting with Andy Linn of the Lafayette Rams, head football coach here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. The Rams getting ready for their matchup at Smithfield. They come off a 49-12 win over Norcom last night. Before we let you go, Coach, and we thank you for your time this morning, give us a thought on this game coming up with Smithfield. New coach, they put some points on the board, certainly had trouble stopping a Dinwiddie offense. It's very high potent. But and also your Bay Rivers district. A lot of good teams having success early on. Yourself, we look at what New Kent did with a shutout. Of course, Warren had a big performance on defense last week with Noah Holmes. Pocosin, no slouch either. They made a state semis in Class 2. What's your take on the Bay Rivers as a whole?
Well, I tell everybody all the time, it's, forever we've had to gain the respect of everybody. It's always been the PD, this. But I'm telling you, the Bay Rivers district, we're a good 6-7 teams, especially this year, deep. You can't sleep on War Hill. They're very good. Noah Holmes he's a great football player. He's as good as anybody at any of these districts around. New Kent's full of guys, and they've got some players. They got the tight end that's going to Old Dominion. Of course, Pocosin is Pocosin. Pocosin's like we are. They run the wing tee. They're never going to change. They're going to give you a football game every time they play. York's good. York, I think, took down Gloucester last night. So, I mean, it's the best the district. I was a little worried a couple of years back the district was not very good. But now I'm telling you, I think the district's as good as it's been since I've been the head coach. And as for Smithfield this week, I mean, anytime you go to Smithfield, it's an incredibly tough football game to play. They play incredibly hard at home. They've got big running backs. They've got big linemen. It'll be a pretty good physical football game, I think, next week.
We know the fans of both Lafayette and Smithfield are looking forward to it. Thank you so much for the time this morning, Coach. Best of luck next week and beyond. I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Anytime, fellas. Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Good luck to you, Andy.
That is Andy Linn, head football coach of the Lafayette Rams, with us this morning here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. When we return, we'll hear from the one and only Keith from Smithfield and Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain. We want to hear from you, too, at 757-687-9494. Give us a call. Hit us up on Twitter at HS Sports Talk 941 and call us at 757-687-9494 on Thomas Simmons and Ed Young's favorite radio station. What is it?
ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now back to your hosts, Matt Hatfield and the coach, Ed Young.
It's September. It's a great month of the year. One that Ed Young is not too happy about because he goes back to school Tuesday, the day after Labor Day.
Fall weather, chilly. We're going to lose the leaves pretty soon.
Lose your hair pretty soon.
Days are longer. But I'll tell you what, some Earth, Wind, and Fire take care of that.
Yes, it will. Let's pop that in and you're good to go. We're going to get to the Dyrri McCain interview as well as some scores, but let's take a couple phone calls. We've had a bunch of listeners calling this morning. We haven't got to some of them, but waiting patiently. 757-687-9494 will get you in here. First, we got James in Suffolk. What's happening, James?
Morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
I'm fine, James.
Good. Couple things y'all have touched on several times, not just this show, but other shows about schools declining and kids transferring. Ed, I really, really agree and respect your opinion about kids sticking it out and being loyal to their schools, but slightly different angle. I'm not going to mention any kids' names or any schools, but I was at a ball game Thursday, and it's a bigger school, but two kids, both of them came from different smaller schools, and they're very happy now. But they stuck with their smaller schools for 3 years. One of them was 2.5 years, the other was 3 years, and one kid went 0-30 in 3 years, and the other kid went was something like 2-27 when he was there. And these kids love their school they're at, love their coaches, love their teammates, but they know that their high school career is running out, and it's a low percentage they'll play college ball, and they want to taste some winning and be part of it. And these kids were both, I wouldn't say the number one superstar, but both the top 2 or 3 kids on those smaller schools they came from. So they're very happy where they're at now. They didn't want to leave these smaller schools, but loyalty is one thing, but, they're kids that want to win at football. So I just wanted your opinion on that.
All right, thanks for the call, James. Ed?
Okay.
Thank you, James. I'm all understand this about you want to play somewhere where they're winning and maybe it's not winning where you are. You said a kid went 0-30. I get all that. But without going on a rampage about this, because we are up against the clock, stay in the zone you're at. Make your school better. The next level, if you're good enough, they're going to find you. They will find you if that's the worry.
Well, and you can always go the prep JUCO route. That's something people forget about. We have this thing. It's especially an issue with basketball with reclassifying, getting an extra year, repeating a grade. And like I've said before many times on the program, I'm not hating on a kid doing that or parents wanting their kid to do that. But my thing is when I was in school, and my grades weren't bad, but I wanted to get done with school. I wasn't want to spend an extra year there. So, to me, not every kid is academically inclined to be going, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, they're not the most, I don't know. That's something
college is not for everybody. We look at it in
right.
an athletic standpoint, but let's call it what it really is. It's all about academics first and foremost. And
when you go to sometimes it doesn't matter if it's public to public, public to private, private to public, whatever it might be. Sometimes it's not always the best fit. You're just going for the wrong reasons, athletic reasons as opposed to academic reasons.
And I'm going by state guidelines. You're not supposed to transfer athletic reasons. Now, if you move into a zone, okay, you did it legally, fine. But this shenanigans of circumventing the rules, I just never. I
do get what he's sort of getting at. Is I sympathize when a kid's going through that, he's putting in time and he's not getting and there's so many kids, it's hard to get to every one of them. They're good, and there's some that fall through the cracks, and I do get it. And then it also bugs some of those kids and parents when they see another school or player getting away with something that's not on the up and up.
That's the way. So, and I'm all for open enrollment. Go wherever you want, but that's not the rule. Right?
I think that's opening Pandora's box. I'm against you on that. I think that's you're going too radical on that one. Let's go back to the phones before we get to the scores and Dyrri McCain's interview. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. We got a busy day here on ESPN Radio 94.1. We got Texas Tech, Ole Miss. College football coming your way at 11:30 this morning. ODU Liberty comes your way at 5 o'clock. Louisville, Alabama join in progress following that, and Tides baseball can be heard on Star 1310 beginning at 6:20. Our man from Smithfield, Keith, what's happening? Good morning.
Good morning, man. How you doing here? How you doing this morning?
Feel good, Keith. We had to put you towards the end because so much going on today.
Yes, sir.
We want to save the best for last. That's why. What's happening, Keith?
No, I'm just having a 4-day day. I'm going to sit back 12 o'clock and watch DMU today. And looking at what I got. We got a couple of guys is might be playing today. Chris Pierce, he playing today. And they're playing Middle Tennessee State today. And we got Willie Drew. He's supposed to be playing a little bit today, too.
Willie Drew, James Madison taking on NC State as Mike Houston and the Dukes will try to pull the upset against NC State. And by the way, big game next week in town. Old Dominion will have their home opener, but also Norfolk State hosting James Madison, a big in-state game next week for college football.
Yes, sir. There I will be at next week. James Madison, Norfolk State game next week.
I'm going to try to make that too, Keith. I'm going to try to do a double dip of high school college, get a little Lake Taylor Freedom of Woodbridge in, and then a little Norfolk State James Madison in.
Yes, sir. Now we got a guy down in Old Dominion named Derek Savage. He down there at Norfolk at Old Dominion too. Yeah,
and ODU taking on Liberty today. I've seen some people picking, like Bleacher Report's calling for the upset of Liberty over ODU. I got the Monarchs by 2 touchdowns, 42-29. Take it to the bank, Monarchs.
Yes, sir. I'm picking the Monarchs to win today over Liberty too, 24-21.
24-21. You're going a little lower scoring than me. Okay.
Hey, Keith. Keith, are you over your Packers game?
Yes, over. We're gonna get back to work next week and get ready to take on Lafayette. They got a good team. we got to come out and we got to execute the game.
Well, we just had on Coach Linn. They got a very strong team, a little bit faster than I anticipated. This Lafayette team than some previous ones, and I think they're just fine on defense. They're rock solid. They're going to be a real threat in Class 4 this year.
Yes, and don't sleep on my boy from Hampton University. I mean, he going to be a workhorse for Hampton. Will Robinson. He's another local guy from Smithfield Packers too.
Yeah, Hampton Pirates. Will Robinson going to be a factor for them. All right, we'll keep an eye on them.
Yes, and we got a lot of local guys. We got one at Campbell University, and Collinger, the kicker. Yeah, at Campbell University, and we got Kenny Wilkinson at Shawan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and today I'm picking Phoebus to beat Harrison, 41-14.
Ooh, 41-14 is your pick.
Yes, sir.
Well, and you can play the free predictions contest, Keith, every week. Free, VirginiaPreps.com. The link to my site, MatthewHatfield.com. Free. We're going to give away prizes at the end of the year to whoever beats Ed and me for the year. And if you have a perfect record for a week, you get a prize as well. We're going 33-16 for me, Phoebus. Ed says 28-6, Phoebus.
Whew, yes, sir. And last thing I've got to say, final score last night, I was going to post them last night. Manchester beat Riverband 75-0.
Manchester and who? Who was that?
Manchester beat Riverband last night.
75-0. I think it was 63-0 at the break. And they have a quarterback going to Notre Dame and Brendan Clark. They have a defensive end going to Thomas's Penn State University and Hakeem Beeman. They don't call him Steeman Beeman yet, though. Will Pritchard on the offensive line headed to Virginia Tech. Alston Robinson, a wide receiver, is going to Old Dominion. And Keitrell Clark, a safety, going to Charlotte. By my count, they have the most current verbal commits of current seniors, 5, in this class right now, and they have more coming. So Manchester is loaded with talent, but they got to get through the likes of Oscar Smith and Westfield and maybe others to get that Class 6 state championship this year.
Yes, and also another suspended game. War Hill is playing Southampton at 6 o'clock at Southampton renewing the game because it's suspended with lightning.
That's on Monday, right?
Yes, sir. Monday at 6 o'clock.
Matt Hatfield may be in the building. It's 50-50 right now.
More likely on the field.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a nice weekend.
All right, you got it, Keith.
All right, Keith, have fun. Be safe.
Right. Matt Hatfield may be in the stadium. How about that? Instead of the building. Thank you for correcting me there. Real quickly, give you a couple quick scores and then get to the Maury interview with Dyrri McCain. Some games of note last night. We'll go through them. And again, you can find all the scores around the entire state of Virginia on VirginiaPreps.com. It's Ed Young's favorite website, right?
Well, what other one is it to go to? Come on, now, let's just call it what it is.
Tallwood over Green Run in overtime, 22-21. Salem beat Princess Anne 19-6. It was Kellum shutting out Kempsville 17-0. Another shutout on the beach came on Thursday night with Ocean Lakes blanking first. Colonial 28-0. Lancetown a winner 21-7 over Bayside on Thursday night. That was your scores in the beach. Some out-of-district games, and there were a bunch of them. You had Churchland shutting out Grafton 22-0. New Kent, much to the dismay of Ed Young, shutting out Colonial Heights 33-0. Hopewell shutting out Tab 41-0. I see a trend here of shutouts, Ed. A lot of them.
Teams have struggling early and getting into the end zone.
And Deep Creek in the Southeastern, a winner over Grassfield 20-15. Warwick beating Menchville 20-12 in the Peninsula. Also in the PD, it was Kickitan squeaking by Bethel 14-8. Lake Taylor, a big-time win over Western Branch, 50-15. Highland Springs, 36. Woodside, 6. More scores on VirginiaPreps.com.
Well, let's twist this around. And then one of the teams that won last night, Maury Commodores, on a 16-15 win over my Nancy River Warriors. My man Matt Hatfield got a chance to catch up with Maury coach Dyrri McCain. Let's see what he had to say.
All right, here with Maury, second-year head football coach Dyrri McCain. Commodores won a thriller coming from behind, 16-15 over Nansman River. Coach, down 15-0. I asked your kids this, and I'll pose it to you. Was there any doubt that you could pull the comeback?
No, I mean we went halftime, went over, going back to our keys and what we were carrying, the game plan. Guys just fought, man, and like I told the last person. Credit to my coaches for coming up with a heck of a plan. We stuck to it. Luca played big. I mean, I don't think he's getting enough credit for his kicks and what he did. Darian played well. KeAndre made a heck of a play. Vontae stepped up. Line started to block better in the second half. And then we keyed in defensively. We got stops when we needed them, but those possessions offensively in the second half early is what put us over the top, and then we kind of got rolling from that point.
Well, you mentioned your kicking game with Lambert getting the field goal, having the confidence there, down 15-0, not going for it and gambling there, and you had some squib onside kicks. You recovered 2, almost had a third, but before the half, you got picked off. You got a little bit of a drive going with the hurry-up offense. Did you sense and speak with the guys that, hey, we've got our offense kind of going. Let's keep the pace and tempo up that we can maybe get them in some mismatches?
That's basically what happened. I mean, we saw that going in the half that was pretty much working. So I mean, it was pretty much all right. Let's stick with it and see if it's going to go. Just like anybody would offensively. But like I said, the line blocked well. Vontae played well in the second half. And we just got to figure out a way to start better from now on. But credit to my guys and the coaches, man. They fought, and my coaches had a great game plan.
We went to your college day in the spring, and we had a couple of your guys in the studio, Sheridan Jones, the Clemson commit, and KeAndre Lambert, the big-time junior prospect, and you got Avante Lawton, the quarterback. We'll get to those guys in a minute, but tell me about this Darian Varner kid, because I didn't know a lot about him. Junior for you, D-line linebacker, 10 tackles, 5 for loss. I thought he was an X-factor tonight.
He's a special kid, and I think that's the thing about this team is that we have more than one player. I think people get sold on Sheridan and KeAndre and those guys, but I mean. And now Vontae, but you got Deshaun Peele, you got Darian Varner, you have C.J. Beasley that people forget about, Tashawn Granger, Kazon Johnson, and just Mark Hill, just guys and up front. I mean David Haley. We have a pretty good core of guys, and those guys stick together as a team and they fight and they showed it tonight when they fought hard. I mean this is a playoff atmosphere. Yeah. That was tonight, even being delayed an hour or 2 hours or so, and.
How hard was that to get your guys, all right, we're going to have pregame, warm-up, ready to go, then we come back longer room. How difficult was that as a coach managing? We're talking about teenage kids, and you were once in this situation as a player before not too long ago, to get them riled back up for this game. And part of your slow start maybe, or?
No, I'm not an excuse guy, so okay. I don't want to put that on that. I just think that we just need to play better at the end of the day. You can sense, I think with both teams, I think that just being pushed behind could have threw some stuff off, but as a coach, you just got to kind of keep that together some way, somehow, and the great coaches figure out a way.
Does anything KeAndre Lambert does, we'll get to Lawton here in a second, surprise you? The big, I think he made 4 or 5 guys miss on that touchdown the first one, 4th and 2. We all pretty much know he's going to get the ball, and he does there. He came up, big players make big plays in big games, and he was clutch tonight. Yes,
he made a great play. Vontae hit him, and I can say that was one of the more wild plays from Dre, and I know people have seen his film and seen him play or whatever, but he knows that that's the part of his game that we've been trying to work on him with. And to make a play like that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to hear something from him when we get to film tomorrow about him making that play. But heck of a play.
Lawton, your quarterback, and you've had a lot of success going back to Northview with quarterbacks. E.J. Faison, DJ Mack, last year with Kevin Van Mills. He steps in. People wonder about, okay, is the passing attack going to keep clicking? And tonight, while he had some great completions, I thought his running ability, with people thinking you guys are so pass-driven, keeping drives and extending plays with his feet.
Yeah, and shout out to DJ for his, I think he had like a 70-yard run last night.
Central Florida, yeah.
So yeah, but with Vontae, he does have feet, he does have legs, and the weapons that he has outside pretty much helps him to be able to use them. He definitely did the thing, throwing and running, definitely in the second half. He played lights out. He played tough. He played tough second half, and that's what we needed out of him.
Last thing, thank you for your time. You remember this game a year ago at your place. You were winning. You had a rain delay. You lost the game in the driving rain, and it sort of changed your season in a sense, I felt. How much does this win help propel you and can be a springboard? And what do you tell these guys now as you move forward into Game 3? And now we get to some of those Eastern District teams. We know about the Lake Taylors, the Norcoms, the Northies, all of those.
Yeah, we just going to take care of one game at a time. We just worried about Bethel, and I know people were saying the Nansman game before that, but we had to take care of Bethel. And then tonight we're taking care of Nansman. Next is PA. But big win for the guys. I mean, they see what it would be like, playoff time, playoff atmosphere. That's a playoff team, and coach has been doing a great job with those guys over there. Heck of a job, actually. And we've seen them guys a lot over the summer and all that. But big win, like I said, and for a win to be like that, for a great team, and then you're down going into half, and then just to fight a second half, man. The guys know that, we can always do it, and it's actually a good situation early in the season to go through that.
Commodore shows some great resiliency and resolve to get the win at Nansman. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
That was Maury head football coach Dyrri McCain. A 16-15 thrilling comeback win over Nansemond River. We thank him. Also his standout receiver KeAndre Lambert. Lafayette head football coach Linn. All you callers out there, we thank our hardworking producer engineer Thomas Simmons. If you missed any of the show, you can find the archive on VirginiaPreps.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter too at HS Sports Talk 941. I'm Matt Hatfield.
I'm the coach, Ed Young.
We'll do it again next Saturday, September the 8th, right here on your home for sports. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.